right, here we are. It is time for another episode of Illustration Masterclass. I'm glad you are all here joining me. And today we're going to talk about something that's very near and dear to me because it is how I got my start as an illustrator, actually. And that is the art of caricature. Adjust my camera here a little bit. Looks like the gravity of the thing on top of it pushed it down. Oh, live streaming. Folks, caricature is tricky. It's difficult. People have a hard time with it, understandably, because it's one thing to try and capture a likeness, and that's difficult as it is it not? But then you got to push it. You got to take that likeness and you have to make it into silly putty, and you have to stretch and pull and find the features to really exaggerate and accentuate if you want to do a successful caricature portrait. There is really some flexibility here when it comes to how you want to handle caricature portraits, because a lot of people have parts of their faces that are more noticeable than others, and you can pick and choose which of these you really want to accentuate and which you want to kind of leave alone or leave more in proportion. And that oftentimes is the challenge when doing a caricature is, do you accentuate and play up everything, or do you just focus on one particular area? We're going to take a look at a few artists who've done great caricature work and are continuing to do great caricature work. And then we're going to try and do a caricature of the actor Will Smith. I'll try and see if I can pull the essence of him out onto the page and get a likeness, okay? An exaggerated likeness, a caricature, if you will. Let's say hi to some folks in the chat here. We have Wade. What's up, Wade? And Alan and Laura. Benoit, bonjour. Comment ça va? Bruce is here as well. Hey, Bruce, what's up? Caricatures, sweet. Yes, I agree. They're fun. Steve, hello. Good day to you as well. And Laura is here joining us. Okay, folks, if you're watching over on YouTube or on Twitter, remember that I'm watching the live chat over here on behance.net/live, be.net/live. And that is where I'll be reading your comments and your questions. And I can answer anything you like. Okay, why don't we start by taking a look here at this lovely piece of work. Some of you might recognize this as the work of the great Al Hirshfeld, who lived to be, I believe, 99 or 100 years old, somewhere in that vicinity. So he did work with beautiful caricature line work for really his entire life, and we have a huge catalog of his stuff to enjoy. We want to just take a look here at the Beatles and look at what Al was capable of doing, which is with very few lines. If you were to study each of these faces, in fact, they use pretty much the same number of lines and the same features drawn with the same kind of line, only the placement and the proportions are different. Otherwise, we're looking at exactly the same kind of handling. There's one exception, which is the eyes here of George. But let's just take a look at this. Look at Paul, okay? We take the eyes, we push them farther apart. We play up the teeth, okay? We minimize the nose. And we angle those eyes down. He's got those sad puppy dog eyes, right? Then we take a look over at John. Similar line work for the eyes, right? However, look how much closer they are together, all right? Right there. Bridge of the nose, much more pronounced, pushed up into the forehead even. Amazing. And then this one line here, indicating that the nose is more down-turned. Okay, so we're not getting that sort of button nose that Paul has, we're getting the down-turned nose. And all you have to do to represent that is that sort of U shape, okay? Smaller mouth, different shape. Absolutely no indication of the chin whatsoever. Really brilliant decision there. Just blended into the neck. Okay, great likeness. Look at George. It's all about the eyebrows and the intensity of the eyes. In order to add that intensity, we have them not looking like when people smile, you know how you squint your eyes down. Instead, no, they are wide open and the brows are covering up the top of the eyelids. Very intense and a great likeness again. Look at the simplicity of the nose. It's just a U shape, okay? And then we come over here to Ringo. Ringo, what is it about? Two things. Again, the sleepy eyes, but look at the size of the nose. The nose is so big, it overlaps the mouth, okay? Now, we know that's not really what happens. Nobody's nose overlaps their mouth, okay? But for caricature, look at how effective that is. Same kinds of lines on all four faces, different placement, different proportion. And This is very challenging. It's very hard to be able to distill someone's facial features down into a language this simple and effective. But he was a master of the art form. Okay, so of course you've got to start with one of the best. Now, some modern masters. Let's just take a look at these two portraits of, almost threw up in my mouth a little bit, Mitch McConnell. Now, when we're looking at this, we're going to see Steve Brodner over here on the left, his approach, and then we're going to have the great Ann Telnis's approach over here on the right. This is the same human being, and in both instances, in both portraits, we are capable of immediately recognizing who these individuals are. However, the handling of their facial features is different because both artists work in a different style, first of all, okay? But also it's what do you choose to play up and how. All right, now what I love about Steve's is he's basically chosen to, I'm just gonna take do this, I'm gonna shape it like this. He has turned the head and neck into one big blobby object, okay? Really great choice, and also the angle he's drawing, this 3/4 view. A lot of caricaturists, okay, myself included, get scared of doing a likeness of somebody that isn't in perfect profile or pretty much straight on. Once you get into the 3/4 territory, it can be challenging. You can lose the likeness, okay? But he's a master of the art form. He's not scared. And so this really adds something to it because we get a little bit of that profile, all right? And we're getting an indication of how that upper lip just kind of tucks in to that. It tucks in that way, okay? And that's something that's very difficult to show from the front, even though, of course, Anne is doing a magnificent job of it here. But I want you to draw your attention here to what Anne has done with the eyes. Look at those bug eyes, and she's had them facing slightly apart from one another in different directions. This is highly effective, and it has the benefit of adding a degree of comedy, right? High degree of comedy. It's really a funny portrait, okay? This, despite the fact that it's very distorted, right, is a little less comical than this. This is almost cartoonish in its approach, or it is cartoonish, isn't it? Look how also both of them choose to slope the shoulders, okay? We're not talking about a broad-shouldered guy here, right? That just adds to the effect, and Anne just gives you this shape like this conical shape. That is so great, or rather more like a funnel, pardon me. Really fantastic. Both of these, brilliant, masterful portraits, but handled very differently. Now let's look at the similarities. The distance between the nose and the mouth. Look at the distance between the nose and the mouth, okay? Really playing that up there. I'll use a different color so that's really obvious what we're looking at here. 1 and 2, okay? So what are we doing there? We're stretching that. Is it possible for a human to have that much space, proportionately speaking, okay, between the bottom of their nose and their mouth? No, absolutely not. This is what we're talking about with rubberizing the face, with taking the face and pulling it into silly putty. But both of them have chosen to accentuate that. Well, why is that? Well, it's because when you look at his face, as much as you don't want to, you will see that there is a pretty pronounced gap there, more so than the average person, and so it's something worth playing up. There's really not much to say about Mitch McConnell's nose, and therefore we're not really taking that into account as a part of the likeness. In fact, if I were to do this, just cover up the nose, okay, chances are you would have no trouble recognizing this individual from the drawing. And so that's an instance where you can say, oh, there's something they don't need to play up, right? You pick and choose and see what you need to do. Okay. Anyway, amazing. Look at this little tuft of hair up here. That's also a great touch. Really, really good. Good stuff. Both of these artists, two of my favorite living illustrators. Amazing stuff. Alrighty. We have some more folks joining us here. What's up, Stephanie? Nice to see you. Mercurial is here, and Fabio and Umacorn. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining me today. All right. So let us hide that for a moment. And I just want to now take a look at one of my own drawings. This is Jack Black, and this illustration I did to represent him as one of the band members of Tenacious D. He and Kyle Gass are the members of Tenacious D. And I chose a profile. Now with Jack Black, what did I choose to do to find that likeness? Well, here's a picture of Jack. All right, and he's a little older here than when I did this portrait. I did this portrait about 15 years ago. But looking at him right here, I want you to notice the intensity of the eyes, okay? And one thing that is a trick that artists can do to add intensity to the eyes is to do this. You make the shape of the eye, and you make the iris very small, all right? It's kind of a little trick you can do. And so I've done that here in the portrait. I made the eyebrows, those intense eyebrows, right? So I bring them down low, make them extra thick, and that's something I wanted to play up as well. Look how the eyes, his eyes sort of angle up, okay? So if I wanted to do that here from the front view, it's kind of more like this, right? Really lengthen the whites there and then pull that angle up as well. He has a small nose, so I made it smaller still, right? And then the thing I really chose to play up was the protrusion of the jaw, okay? And the sloping back of the forehead, which even though this photo isn't showing this, if we were to see him on the other side from his left side, we would actually notice that he parts his hair and there's a nice long gap there, forehead back up into cranium, where you're getting a big strong widow's peak. And so I wanted to play up that by having this side of his face be visible rather than the other. But yeah, that protrusion of the jaw, so this angle here of just getting from the forehead out to the jaw and really just sticking it all out there, I really lengthened that and played it up. Now we have the forked tongue, which is all just part of having to do with Tenacious D and a lot of the stuff they sing about and so on. And then for me, the rest of it was just me having fun with the shape to play with how to take that head and put it on that body. Obviously inspired a lot by Hirshfeld here with this kind of stuff where you blend one form into another, the arm into the guitar with these fluid lines and whatnot. Okay, but yeah, not much to say really about his mouth. His nose is small, so for me it was playing up the jaw and the intensity of the eyebrows and the eyes and getting the angles right and so on. And again, this is an interesting thing just to figure out that head shape right there. And so there you go. All right, so why don't we move on to some actual drawing, and we're going to figure this out here. I'm going to switch over to a brush I can use for sketching. I might use this new figure study brush that this is a brush I'm going to be giving away to anybody who's going to be attending the Lightbox Expo. So I think I like drawing with this. We'll see how that works. Another thing I might like to draw with is this new concept marker here. This is a nice one to draw with too. So yeah, I might stick with that. Let's take a look at some of my reference here. So open this group here. So here's our friend Will Smith. And let's see, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 photos. Okay, one right there, and here's what I like to do. I like to expand my canvas, push it out like this, and I'll take my left side here, the area I want to draw in, and I'm just going to tone it a little bit like this. I'm going to take this area and I'm just going to do this. I'm going to just tone this area here and then push my reference over to the right so I can see it. All right, so that's a good image. We got this one. I'm going to crop in like this and pull that over here. Let's see what that over here as well. That one, that's just a different angle of the head. You know, the tilting up might be kind of an interesting approach. Kind of like that as well. So lots to look at here. And so this is, I think, a good habit is to get yourself a few good photos of your subject, so you have a few things to look at And even if you're focusing predominantly on one of those photos, it's just good to have these other ones kind of lying around in view, okay? And let's take a look at this one too. I want to see if between these two, which tells me more. I think this one is not as useful. All right, so here we are. This is where I am right now with this. And what I want to do is I just want to I'm going to sketch with the marker over here and try and figure out a couple of things. One, the general silhouette of the head. All right, like where do I want to go wider? Where shapes? You can kind of go out like this. You can have head shapes that kind of do this, right? Bump, 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 bump. You can reverse that. You can do things like just a nice big kind of rounded sort of triangle. Think about this stuff. I handle this stuff. And looking at Mr. Smith here, I think, well, let's look at some things that stand out right away for me. One is I think he does have, or I notice his forehead. You know, it's a sizable forehead. His eyes, I think, are farther apart. They appear farther apart, especially when I look at an angle like this. I want to kind of push those out to the edge. So, you know, let's just do this. I'm going to give him some space for the forehead there. I think everything just kind of flows down. Make the top of the head a little more narrow. Okay. And he does have a really nice jaw there. It's a good, noticeable jaw. So we can really make that and leave room for that forehead. Okay, I'm going to do this. Maybe angle a bit more out like this. And then let's take a look at those ears. They're very noticeable. Now, they're not necessarily tall, are they? So in terms of total real estate, I could basically kind of get away with this kind of thing right here. Right? I think that would be, I'd be in good shape if I did that. So they're not that tall, but they stick out. All right. So I want to get that right. They're not symmetrical, but I don't think that that's really a big deal. I kind of want to go for the shape that's most pleasing. So that's sort of where I am with that. I'm going to bring this down a bit more for the jaw. A little wider, a little more most of the time. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to look at that hairline. It's coming up, cutting back, and then right around the top like that. Okay, here's a little center line for myself. So that's kind of the shape that I'm seeing. Lightbox is online, Mercurial. Yes, it is. Hey, Paul, what's up, man? Nice to see you. I'm so glad you're here. Steadman-esque piece in fresco sometime. You mean Ralph Steadman? Oh, sure, I could. Hey, did you all know there's a Ralph Steadman-inspired brush you can all get? If you, I'm just going to take a quick detour here for a second. If you like Ralph Steadman, check this out. Go to the Mega Pack. Kyle's brushes, here we go. Mega Pack, go to the ink box. And, oh gosh, I should know the names of my brushes. Am I forgetting? Ink Spat, I think it's called. Ink Spat. Let's see. Here it is, Ink Spat pen. This is really fun. If you take this brush and you draw with it and then wait a second, look what happens. It like throws some spatter inside the lines and around the lines and stuff. It's kind of a cool effect. So you can get some... okay, so where was I here? Let's grab that marker again. Right, so there's our start right there. Okay, so next thing I want to look at is this whole area here. Okay, and I'm thinking about it like I'm thinking about really the skull, right? I'm thinking about how, if I were to just draw the shape around here, the eye sockets, right? That's a good thing to do. So I'm gonna just kind of do this, just kind of give myself a little space there for that whole area. And then I want to take those eyes, I'm just going to push them out, way out here, way out to the edges there, like that. Okay, now as I look at it, I think, I kind of want to, well, for now, I mean, these are decisions that I might change later. And here I'm gonna, sort of gonna carve, carve away at this shape here and make it a bit more pointy up at the top. That just feels right to me. And again, I might change my mind on that later too, but that just is feeling better to me than what it was happening before. He's got some pretty good sized cheeks there. Okay, so I might choose to like play those up, but let's wait and see. Okay. All right. So got the eyes way out here. Way out here. 1 and 2. Check out the eyebrows. Let's check out those eyebrows here. Look at the space between the eyebrows, okay? Very noticeable there. And so I want to take that and play it up in my drawing. So I'm going to start them here and here, okay? And then we're going to come down like that. Alrighty. Now I look at it and I say, okay, let's take our ears, we'll throw them down a little farther. Bring that hairline even higher and push that forehead even wider. That feels better to me. Like this. I'm just going to give myself some more space there. Excellent. Okay. Nose. Nose is lining up there with the insides of the eyes. So I'm going to just take those guidelines there and drop them down. Now he does have a downturned nose, if you notice. So I want to make sure that I show that. Okay, and this is just a very simple shape, but I'm just helping myself to remember to angle that down. Okay? That's important. Big smile. He's got quite a smile. And sometimes he's, I could go for the mouth closed. I might want to go for the mouth open. But if I go for the mouth open, I'm going to have to make a lot of room down here. Although really the facial hair, if I were to take this and add a bit of facial hair for the goatee, just as a shape. Okay, I want to see if I can get away with this. I want to kind of angle it up under the nose like this. Fill it in down here. And then I'm checking out that mouth. There's a nice kind of up and down kind of a thing to his smile. It's like this, like in from the outsides and then scoops down and then finishes it out like that at the bottom. So let's see if I can make that work. So I want to kind of, also I want to make it a little asymmetrical. So I'm going to pull up the left side a little more, like this. And then come across like that. All right, and leave room for that bottom lip there. There we go. And okay, I think that's pretty good. Gotta make that facial hair hug that mouth shape. It'll help to define that shape, you know what I mean? And now I'm looking at these nice shadows here created by that section of the facial muscles there. Okay, we're coming up around and down. All right. And then the neck coming down like this. Okay. So I think this is looking pretty good. Starting to pull a likeness out of it. Kind of want to do that. And let's get this down like that. Make this chin a bit more pronounced. And then angle up slightly like that. Okay, so you see how we're doing this. Now, here are the things that I was doing from the beginning of the drawing up through where we are now. Step one was trying to determine that general head shape. Okay, so let's knock this back and let's take a look at where we are here. Step one. We wanted to figure out this sort of head shape, right? So a little more narrow at the top, right? Wider at the bottom here. We noticed that I'll leave those lines there because they're helpful. We noticed that the ears stick out, right? So we want to get those to stick out, but they're not big in the sense that they're tall, right? So that's important. And as I'm doing this, also I can find out, where are the areas I need to correct. By the way, this is a helpful thing to do, folks. If you're ever drawing things like this, is to knock it back a little bit, and then you can make corrections in your drawing. I noticed the alignment was off there. Okay, so back to where we were. Right, and there was that space between the eyes and the eyebrows. They're quite high up, but there was also these spaces were really important. The space between the eyes, pushing the eyes out to the sides there. That's vital. I'm adding these lines above these eyelids here because I think that helps with the likeness big time. That's a big part of what makes his eyes look like his eyes. You know what I mean? Okay, so come back over here. Yeah. What else? Let's take a look here. We were looking at the nose, and the only significant thing about it that was worth making sure we got was the downturn, right? It's pushing down, so we wanted to make that happen, push it down. But definitely not a long enough nose to want to make it longer than it needs to be. I think that would hurt the likeness. Okay, the things we want to play up are space between the eyes, quality of the eyes, like nice and dark out here on the edges, which is why I sort of drew them that way right from the get-go. I really kind of played up those eyelashes towards the edges of the eyes, right? This is an important shape that we identified, which is if you're looking at a skull, right? Like, what is this face mask area, this kind of eye mask area, I should say, right? Think about like them wearing a superhero mask and trying to really nail that whole area there. That's an important area, right? Eye sockets and all that business. Very important. Decided to go with the open mouth smile because I think just as a celebrity, we're used to seeing that more from him. And I think that my decision to make this asymmetrical comes just from a part of his goofy personality. I mean, he's done drama, of course, and he's good at it. But he's also known for being a fun guy and being funny. And I just think that that'll help to kind of do that, to keep the portrait fun, right? Now you got the facial hair helping to define what's happening around the mouth, just as a general shape. It's kind of like an outline almost for the mouth. It reinforces that whole situation there. And then this whole area at the bottom of the goatee. So we've got this, 1, 2, and that's pretty much it. That's the basics of our portrait, okay? And if I were to, even if I hide the original right there and we just look at what we've just traced over there, some of those basic bits, I think you're starting to get a pretty clear picture of who it is we're looking at. Cool exercise I did back in the day before I was doing all my stuff digitally, but much easier to do digitally, I will say, is this exercise of doing a sort of more traditional portrait. You kind of, okay, you put it that way. And then what you do is you then go for start exaggerating and simplifying on top of what's there. So here, for example, if I were to knock this back, that would be another starting point. And I could do things like say, all right, I want to look at the eyes here, and maybe I want to make them, I can make them even wider, farther out. Angle them slightly different, or really play up the eyelashes like that, So slightly different angle here, and I'm going for this kind of a look, okay? And then I want to take that nose, pull it a little wider, and dip it down a bit there, like so. Maybe I want to try that. Okay, and for the mouth, maybe I want to really play up that asymmetry and just go up to here, and then pull it across like that. I could do that. Make him really have a funny facial expression, right? Get those cheeks up there, play the cheeks up, and then give him a nice big shape at the bottom there for the chin. Pull in from here. Get those eyebrows even higher up even. You could really just take that like that. And maybe for that asymmetry thing, I could pull this one up higher, like that, more comical. And then come across here for the top of the head. Pull the hairline all the way out to the corner, and then just cruise across like that. So there's just a tiny bit of space up there for the hair. I'm trying to take what's already there and just keep pushing it. And if I start to lose the likeness, but I think right now so far this looks pretty good. So here I would probably, let's see. Probably do do something like that. Maybe his mouth is open, you know, you could even do something like that. Let's get those ears, make them even more pointy there. I'm looking at them here at in the photo, and actually I think what I want to do is make sure that I get that angle down like that, or angle out, and then just kind of finish it off. I think that's a simpler shape. I like that better. Yeah, don't need to go to so much detail on the eyebrows there. That's distracting. Notice how I haven't even bothered with the irises, right? The inside of the eye. There's no point in that at this stage. I mean, but it's really at the end of the day, you just throw it in, and you should be okay, you know. His eyes are dark. I can just test out how that'll look, you know, kind of the last step. You know what I mean? Throw a little shadow here under the jaw. Cast that shadow on the neck. This could be a clean shaven version of him. You know, but as I look at it, I feel like I do need to maybe give that chin a bit more presence. I think that, yeah, that helps with the likeness, I think. So I'm gonna do that. There we go. So we could look then and see, you know, how we doing. I could hide where I was before and say, yeah, that's coming along. And now I just add that tone for the facial hair, which I really, in his case, I do think we're just used to seeing that. You don't need it. I think you can still pull a likeness out of there without it. But there's something about that goatee framing the mouth that, to me, is just a shape that I'm used to. I'm just used to seeing that on him. Maybe it's just me. You know, let me know if you all think that's a thing. But I just think without that, you know, I'm in danger of losing something special that guarantees that we all go, oh yeah, that's Will Smith. You know what I mean? So there you go. Darken that right there. So, bit of confusion there. I gotta clear that up. There we go. So now the top of the head feels wrong to me. I feel like it needs to be rounder. Maybe a little wider too. Something about it is bothering me. I think maybe it's just that it's not enough. It's not enough. Kind of want to just blow it out. Make it bigger all around. Can't make everything big though. That's the problem, is you have to sort of pick and choose. Where do you want to do this stuff? Where do you want to do these shapes? Maybe it's more about fixing the shape. I think that helps a little bit. I don't know. I do kind of want to bring the eyebrows both up. You know? think that's also kind of an important thing to do. And here, I want to connect this more to the underside of the eye, these cheek muscles, you know? There we go. But, I think this is it's pretty okay. It's definitely, it's recognizable, I think, as Will Smith. I don't know, what do you all think? Tell me what you think. Tell me what you think. Let's hear. Any comments in here? Rob, thank you very much. Steve says that Kevin Nealon is a good caricaturist. I didn't know that. Wade, good, okay, I'm glad you think that was a good choice. I think I could push it even further, but I don't know if it needs it. I do think the edge of the eye here can just angle up more like that. I think that's important. Whoops, I went a little overboard there, but let's see. It's Will, says Alan. Good, okay. All right, cool, cool, cool. Kyle, you use this brush a lot. Is this one of your design? Brian? Actually, Brian, I just made this brush this week for the Lightbox Expo. It's like a concept marker. It's a nice marker brush. So if you're going to that expo, if you're going to be there, for those people who register, you should get it. So what would I do next? Okay, so at this point, you feel like, okay, you've gotten to a place where you pretty much, you've got a likeness. I think one thing that, then you start to get picky. You're like, all right, well, is his jaw really that square? No, it's actually rounder. It's more sort of full in shape like that. So then do you want to? Does it help the likeness to round it out a bit? And you look at things like that, and you get really picky with it. Is it helpful to? I'll pull that in. I think that's better. Pull that in. There we go. Yeah, so you just start to pick apart little bits and pieces that work and don't work. And as usual, the thing that helps a lot with this is reducing the opacity, looking at it from a distance and just checking stuff out. Like I could see my ears are a little misaligned. I'm not really into this ear on the right here. I feel like that needs to set down lower. In fact, both of them could. I could probably add some more space, some more room here. Moved it, right? And this is the kind of thing that I would do with tracing paper back in the day, but like just that makes a difference in the likeness. Right away I can see, oh yeah, that helps. So then I just fix it, Make sure you don't stick with stuff that's not working. That's obviously not going to help you. Doesn't help anybody. So, but yeah, like I realized, oh shoot, just doing that is enough to help with the overall drawing. I need to detach this ear more, make it more like the one on the right. That's just better. So you just pay attention to this kind of stuff, and you catch yourself. This is why it's good to iterate. You just keep going back to it, go back to it, go back to it. If you need to walk away for a second, That's always a good thing to do. Obviously, with any drawing, honestly, certainly not just caricature. Believe me. Step away from your work, and you will see all the horrible mistakes. No, but that's just part of the deal. You know, we all need to do that. We all need to do that. But yeah, let's just look at that for a moment. Okay, if I zoom out, you can see some other symmetry issues here. You know, we want to create more space right there, right? Gotta push that out like that. If you really want to see how badly you messed up with how stuff's kind of lined up or whatever, you know that trick. You used to do it with a mirror, but now all you do is just flip it horizontally. I actually have an action set up to do that here. So for me, that's a cinch. I just open up my actions and I say flip horizontal. And I go, wow. Yeah, I mean, like, you know, maybe that's a bit much here. Maybe it's a bit much. I don't know. But maybe that's the whole point. I mean, it's a caricature, so. You know, I would probably take this whole area and, like, do that. Things like that. Might need to like pull that a bit. And look for some other areas that need a bit of help. Try that. If you want to have a sobering experience, go ahead and flip your canvas horizontal and just look for all the things that you desperately need to fix, you know. Good habit. Always a good thing to do. I don't mind too much this really crazy asymmetry. I think it's actually okay. You know, it's like he's making a joke or something, just being silly. So it doesn't bother me too much. Yeah. And then what you do is, of course, you know, you flip it back and you just kind of go back and forth, check on yourself, see how you're doing. But overall, I think this is okay. Why don't we do this? We're gonna grab a nice inking brush. Why not use the draw along brush? That's an okay one. Or, well, no, I don't want to use that actually. The brush I made for Lightbox last year was actually pretty slick. I liked drawing with that. Where did I put those? Here it is. It's called Inky Triumph. Line art over the top of this. If I feel like I've basically got the essential elements figured out. You know what I mean? How quickly can I get this done? That is the question. I think we got like 3 minutes left. Let's see what I can do here. Maybe 4 minutes if I'm pushing it. Let's see. All right. I know I'm quiet, but it's because I'm concentrating. Here at the 11th hour, I'm deciding I definitely want to go ahead and extend that chin just a bit. Okay. Out we go with the ears. And here's the tricky part, trying to nail this in just a few lines here, top of the head and then on down, because you don't want to really rush that, not too much. All right, down to the wire here, folks, down to the wire. Let's see what we can do here. Too wide on that iris. Let's try that again. There we go. I want to go too wide on the iris. All right, bum, bum. Put a little life in those eyes. There we go. And that's it. I think we are out of time, gang. Thank you for watching. Hope you found that informative. More of the same coming up. You know, we're going to take care of business next week as well. Everybody have a great weekend. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Remember to be kind. And I will say ciao for now.